at Harold One. I'm Ted Jervis, and this is ZNS.
The Rundown is brought to you by Commonwealth Brewery Limited. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the show. It's great to have you with us for the start of another week. Well, we start off tonight with news from Parliament. Minister of Finance, Prime Minister, the Honourable Philip Davis, will open debate on the government's proposed new fiscal plan this Wednesday. It's been touted as the first ever budget that will be balanced with a surplus, albeit small. The overriding question for some, though, is how can this be accomplished when the current budget cycle still has until June 30th to get it done? Well, here's the Prime Minister's reasoning.
Detractors have to appreciate the manner in which the government accounting is accounted for. Accounting, we are on a cash basis, not on an accrued basis. And what we have achieved, you don't have to just listen to what we say. There are international monitors who determine how the health of our finances. Moody upgraded us. The IMF has said what we've done is remarkable. Don't take our word. Google sometimes what these international agencies are saying about what and our stewardship of the economy. And that should tell them that we're not just patting ourselves on the back. We are not doing this for process either. We're doing it because we need to put our country in the place that it is. And I feel so privileged to be the Prime Minister at this time, to steer the wheel and steer the ship, to navigate all the challenges we have.
There you have it, Prime Minister there. And of course, he's going to be opening the budget himself on Wednesday when debate gets going. And of course, it'll debate for about 3 weeks before it's done and sent to the Senate. And so obviously you can imagine that ministers over the next course of a few weeks will talk about their portfolios, talk about spending, talk about plans and what they will be doing, what's in the budget for their particular portfolios and ministries, and they'll begin to dive into it. I often tell people that sometimes it's best to read the material, read the budget communication. Why? Because you don't always get the sense of what's happening in the budget during the debate. It is a time where the best of theatrics are on display. And of course, you can imagine going into an election year, everybody's trying to pontificate, impress, do what they do. So the best way to understand the budget is to read it for yourself and not depend on the political theatrics that will no doubt be on front and center stage there. There are a lot of people that I've said it before last week, that will criticize and I will speak about and I will talk about what is happening, what is not happening, right? And I always tell people that you need to know the facts, need to talk to the people who are responsible for crunching the numbers and how we got what we got and what we're going to do with what we have to understand that first. Politics aside. And when you do that, it will give you a better opportunity to understand where your country is headed and what your country is about to embrace. Understand the facts before you begin the debate. You can't debate without the facts. Important there. Well, on to something else. Those frequent power outages and high fuel costs that have plagued several Family Island communities for decades will soon be a thing of the past. It's all thanks to the government signing 2 power purchase agreements that lay the foundation for energy transformation nationwide. Desmond Saunders has this report from the Office of the Prime Minister.
When we took office in 2021, we encountered a power grid and power generation system on life support. PPL was drowning in over $500 million in debt, plus another $100 million in unfunded pension obligations. At the same time, our energy infrastructure required over $500 million in critical upgrades to prevent catastrophic failure.
And Prime Minister, the Honorable Philip Davis, says the aging electricity infrastructure created hardships for thousands of Family Island residents. The signed agreements are between Bahamas Power and Light, the government, and its Bahamian partners, Renew Gen Pro and Family Island Microgrid Company. Solo microgrids combined with advanced LNG and multi-gas systems will be established across Harbor Island, Bimini, Staniel Key, Black Point, Farmers Key, Moores Island, San Salvador, Kidd Island, and Long Island.
We are harnessing our abundant sunshine while introducing cleaner fuels to ensure that our power needs are met, regardless of what the weather looks like.
Energy Minister, the Honorable JoBeth Colby Davis, says the islands receiving the new grids are vital to the economic lifeblood of the country. Residents can begin feeling the effects of the new systems in a matter of months, and other Family Islands will not be left out.
We have not forgotten about Inagua, Mayaguana, Crooked Island, Acklands, and Long Key. As my ministry and the Project Execution Unit, better known as the PEU, assisting the IDB financial program, are actively reviewing possible options that are sustainable and feasible.
By this time next year, Bahamians across 14 islands will experience the benefits of modern, reliable, affordable electricity. And by 2030, 32% of the country's electricity needs will be met by solar power, surpassing its global target of 30%. Desmond Saunders, Bahamas Tonight.
Thanks a lot. Again, here we go. A power supply for the Family Islands. If you notice, the budget theme has been about the Family Islands. So I suspect that we're going to see over the next few weeks a lot of announcements and openings about what's happening on the family of islands, because this budget is going to focus strategically on the entire Bahamas. It's not going to be Nassau-centric. Family Islands have always said that it seems as though government is Nassau-centric. This administration is doing what it can, according to Prime Minister, to ensure the entire length and breadth of the archipelago feels the relief and hope that he's hoping to present to the Bahamian people. And so you're going to see developments like power structure and power upgrades for Family Islands, improved water structure for Family Islands, improved roads for Family Islands, new development opportunities for Family Islands to ensure that the people throughout the length and breadth of the Bahamas can feel the impact of having a government that's pretty much, according to Prime Minister, focusing on their needs. Well, on to this topic now, which is going to lead us into our discussion tonight. The only days to go before the annual Serrano Fox Labor Day Parade set to take place. There is a sense of disquiet as the Trade Union Congress led by Obie Ferguson is threatening to not participate in the parade. The TUC cites issues with outstanding agreements. Among reasons, they are boycotting the parade. This body is the umbrella organization to at least 13 trade unions, and them staying away would unquestionably Friday's parade, both in volume and in overall morale. Well, Labor Minister Pia Global-Roll, who spoke with our Corval Pyfrom about this proposed boycott, says many of these unions have already reached out to her, insisting they will participate in Friday's parade. She also reaffirmed the administration's commitment to labor and questioned the real motives behind the TUC's actions. Even still, Minister Global-Roll is extending an olive branch, but she says will not engage in a public spat with the TUC nor its president.
I look forward to all of the trade unions that will participate. I am being told that they will come out in numbers. I appreciate the support, not on my behalf, not on the Department of Labor's behalf, but on behalf of the workers that will stand shoulder to shoulder on Friday to celebrate the work that they do in our nation.
I know you're in ongoing communication with these unions, so what's the communication been like with Mr. Ferguson?
Mr. Ferguson has been absent from the last 3 quarterly meetings. Mr. Munnings has represented him, so he's always said that he's been predisposed, busy in some way, but the meetings go on. The affiliates show up. In our last meeting on March 29th, the TUC expressed gratitude to the Bahamas Department of Labor, to the Director of Labor, and to the Minister of Labor on the work that we're doing in partnership with them. What has happened since then, I'm quite uncertain. But I always say to Mr. Ferguson, and this invitation remains open, if you want to have a conversation with me, you know how to find me. But if you address me in the media, unfortunately, as my Grammy say, you're airing your dirty linen. Let's come to the table in a spirit of social dialogue, in a spirit of solidarity, and let's work through the issues. As long as a country exists, as long as governments exist, as long as unions exist, there will be matters to resolve. But when we stop the communication, that's when we come to no resolution. So I believe in social dialogue. I think we've fostered good, strong, consistent social dialogue, and nothing has changed on our side.
There you have it, a diplomatic answer. I mean, I'm going to reserve my comments because that same young lady you saw there on the screen is actually here. And we're going to be talking about labor tonight, right? And I'm going to put the questions to her, and I'm going to try and refrain from my commentary because I think sometimes we need to pause and breathe in our country and understand why do we do what we do. I think we lose focus somewhere along the line as to why we're doing what we do. And if you are truly on the front line of labor and you want to be coined in the history books of the Bahamas as being an advocate for labor, then I think you ought to do a little better than you're doing. I think if you want to be known as someone who fought for the rights of workers, boycotting a day that celebrates workers isn't the answer. I've said it every time we talk about this, I come to the same conclusion. How do you stay away from a day that celebrates workers in our country? It tells me, where's your focus? Is it on you or is it on the workers? Are you concerned about your agenda or honoring people who have worked so hard and the forefathers who have put laws and legacies in place for workers in this country? The very day is named after the man who fought. And boycotting, you think, isn't honoring him? We so easily get distracted by our own personal objectives. Anyway, after the break, the Minister of Labor and the Public Service, the Honorable Pia Glover-Rowe, will be here. We'll talk candidly. You know she can be diplomatic, and I'm going to end up looking at the one who ain't got no kind of control behind his desk. You're watching The Rundown here on the ZNS Network. Our conversation with Pia Glover-Rowe right after the break. It goes.
I am a master plumber by profession. I've been doing plumbing for over 40 odd years. When I was 9 months old, I was diagnosed with polio. To me, living with polio, I took it the way it is. I never allowed my polio to get in my way of anything. In fact, I love when people doubt me, and I just prove them wrong. And let me tell you, in the world, you could only find a plumber as good as me, but you ain't gonna find no plumber better than me. People with disability, they just need a chance. In this program, I feel so encouraged. Most of the mentors have different kind of disability, but disabilities like me. Sharing and caring and showing so much support with people with disability. They would encourage you to go beyond. I wish this was around a long time ago. Right now, I would have been a millionaire. You there who have a disability, don't be afraid. Take the step. If you believe it, you could achieve it. And remember one thing, ain't no one better than me, and ain't no one better than y'all. God made all us equal.
For more information about how the SBDC can help your small business to make a big impact, give us a call at 461-7232 or visit sbdcbahamas.com.
Did you know you could send a local bank transfer to a Sand Dollar wallet? It's the same as sending a transfer to an account at another local bank. Simply use the wallet's 12-digit top-up address as the account number, savings as the account type, Central Bank of the Bahamas as the bank, and Sand Dollar as the branch with branch code or transit number 12,000. Don't use urgent or priority delivery. Transfers to Sand Dollar wallets are processed through the Bahamas Automated Clearinghouse Network within 1 business day.
Summer in the Bahamas. The weather is hot, but not as hot as the ZNS summer packages. Get ads on ZNS TV or ZNS Radio Network or the TV community page, or a combination of all three. ZNS has got you covered with great prices, whatever package you choose. Book before June 7th and get the local Federation Championship Baseball bonus full of all kinds of extras free of charge. Contact your account executive or call ZNS Sales at 502-3800 today. Hot summer package rates valid until July 31st.
welcome back to the Rundown. Especially good evening to all of you, those of you in the Turks and Caicos Islands, watching of course, online on YouTube, or if you are here in the Lion's Den on Facebook, wherever your platform you're watching on around the region, around the world, here at home. Thank you for your time and attention and for being with us on the broadcast. Well, Labor and Public Service Minister, the Honorable Pia Glover-Roll, didn't mince any words when she was responding to the Bahamas Trade Union of Congress stance on boycotting this year's Labor Day parade, noting that it was becoming a political event, is what they were saying. It's that stance that Minister Glover-Roll is taking on all labor issues, as she maintains her priority is zeroed in on enhancing the lives of all Bahamians. She's no stranger to the Rundown. She's been here many times to address labor matters, and we're happy to have her doing, believe it or not, Labor Week. This is Labor Week. Minister of Labor, welcome. Good to have you.
It's good to be back, Clint.
And so listen, let's jump right in, because I have a number of questions, and I think our audience want to have it put in perspective, right? They've called it, first of all, a conflict in roles. They've said that you are the Minister of Labor and the Public Service. It's conflicting, and you ought to be removed from one of the portfolios because it's a conflict of interest. Do you see it as that?
It is a perceived conflict on those persons that would have made those statements. But you can have, I've heard many people say that it's a perfect portfolio.
Right.
Because it's the minister that is responsible for workers, public sector, private sector. The Prime Minister has the legal authority to compose his cabinet and his portfolios the way he sees fit.
Right.
I think our Prime Minister has a good grasp of law. I heard they also said there was a conflict in law. I don't think there is. And in fact, I'm certain there is not. This is not the first time that there's been a Minister of Labor who's also been responsible for the public service. First time it's a female, maybe that's it. I don't know. But the issues, the conflict must be perceived by the persons who are making those statements, because there has been no facts to support the statements that were made. One is that I can't be the judge, the jury. Well, there has been no conflict in either role. I'll separate them by portfolio. The Ministry of Public Service, there is a Public Service Commission.
Correct.
The minister may recommend, but the Public Service Commission has the final say. The minister does not sit on that commission and has no input on that commission's decisions. If you don't like what the Public Service Commission rules, then there is the Public Service Board of Appeal. On that Board of Appeal, there's a position for our union representative. Also, the minister does not sit or is not privy to the matters on the Public Service Board of Appeal. So I see no conflict when it comes to the public service. When we get to the Department of Labor, the minister is not a conciliator. And when matters go to conciliation, the minister signs off for them to go, these matters that are unresolved, to go on to the Industrial Tribunal. The minister signs for trade disputes and strike certificates. There have been none that have been denied under my tenure.
Correct.
Where is the conflict?
I think that's clear. So, a lot of it, do you believe, is just surrounded around talk and rhetoric?
I don't know what it's surrounded by, because I will also add that I did not select my portfolio. The Prime Minister placed me in this position. So to say that they're calling me out to choose a position, I don't understand that statement, especially when these two union leaders in particular, the Fergusons, when one of them in particular sits with the Prime Minister more frequently than I do. So if you have an issue with the portfolios that the Prime Minister has composed, he would be the person that you should speak to, not me. I didn't compose these portfolios on my own. Additionally, when it comes to labor and public service, I have been in that portfolio since 2003. It's now 2022. I've been in that portfolio since 2023. It's now 2025. So 2 years in, we now have the epiphany that this portfolio is conflicted.
When we talk about communication, which is obviously very important for a portfolio like this, are you avoiding the Fergusons? Are you not meeting with their unions? Are you not able to be reached or contacted to that they must take this route?
Absolutely not. There is no union, and I can say this without fear of contradiction, there is no union president in this country who can say they are unable to reach me or don't get responses from me almost immediately. Additionally, they not only meet in a structured space quarterly, but they have access to me, my director, our labor relations unit, the permanent secretary, at any time. Additionally, we have had quarterly union meetings, and in particular for the TUC, Mr. Ferguson has been absent for the last 3 meetings. I saw him recently at the signing of one of his affiliate unions' industrial agreement, and I told him how happy I was to see him because I felt like I hadn't seen him for so long. But I am always available. I have an open door policy. I respond to messages immediately, and there's no union in this country that we haven't done the work for.
So he's not been to the last 3 meetings where these issues are talked about and are dealt with. He's not been there.
No, he sent a representative on his behalf.
Okay, so he's not been there. He's sent a representative. Have they raised issues of concern that they believe ought to be addressed that are not being addressed?
Absolutely. Every union comes to the quarterly meetings with an agenda. Now, in the last meetings that were held on March 29th, we went over the agenda because what I am noticing was a trend that a particular Congress was consistently putting the same items on the agenda. Started at the beginning of the agenda to say, let's make this clear today. If there are items that we spoke towards the resolution of, you can't bring it back on the agenda. So let's go over this completely, and let's go line for line, item for item, and let's be clear on the resolution that you have been directed towards. So, yes, there are always matters. As long as governments sit and as long as unions exist, there will be matters to solve. Unions advocate. That's what they do. As long as once we solve one issue, there will be another. Bear in mind that a lot of these matters are long-standing matters, and the other matters came out of the infamous MOU. The long-standing matters, one of the affiliate unions of the TUC, when we came in office, they had over 100 matters that were before the courts because they couldn't get the former administration to resolve those matters.
100?
Over 100.
Over 100 matters?
Today, I think there are approximately 3 that are outstanding.
Out of over 100 matters?
But that union is one that says they won't participate in their march. And I say their march because it's the workers' march. So to say, you know, Clint, I deal with facts and I deal with data. I believe that there are checks and balances. If you're going to say something, qualify it with the facts. So to say that matters aren't being resolved is false. To say that we aren't living up to the MOU that's being circulated today is false.
This MOU, were you using this MOU as a guideline as to what the concerns are and what needs to be addressed?
Absolutely. That's how we work. We work from a checklist. The MOU guides us. The MOU was one of the foundational documents that we used to build our blueprint for change. So in the Memorandum of Understanding, the lion's share of the matters were legislative reforms. We are currently conducting a legislative reform for labor, the magnitude that we have never seen historically. And it's not the government that is proposing to amend the labor laws. It's the government with the assistance and the advice of the trade unions, which many of those legislative reforms come out of the Memorandum of Understanding, and the employers. So it's the tripartite. It's all of the stakeholders who have sat in a room and designed the legislative reform that we are working on today.
So if this kind of working relationship exists and these kinds of achievements are being made, what makes you of this?
It's hard to understand but I say unions are, their role is to advocate, and that's what they do. And they have the freedom to do so. And as I said in my statement the other day, the work continues.
Are you by any way disturbed that they've said they won't participate in the march?
Absolutely not. First of all, when you boycott as a labor union, when you boycott the march, especially for personal reasons, you're boycotting the workers, not the government.
Right. This is not a government march.
This is not a government march. Since 1962, the Progressive Liberal Party has marched with labor, because members of the Progressive Liberal Party are workers too. We're all workers. Additionally, the Progressive Liberal Party has not only supported the march in administration, but also out. The Progressive Liberal Party has never missed a year on Labor March. But the Progressive Liberal Party is not the only political organization that takes part, that participates in the march.
Right.
So it's not political. It's a way that parties support our trade unions and by extension our workers, who happen to be the voters. But the workers are also your members, and this is your march. This is the march of the workers. This is the march of labor. So essentially, you're boycotting yourself.
Right. I was telling somebody, I would think that would be a perfect platform to go out there and if you want to carry placards and talk about your issues that are unresolved, if you want to go and speak to all the media out there and say, we're advocating for answers on these things, it's a perfect platform. But not to go and to remove yourself from it, it seems counterproductive to me, because it's a day you celebrate the people, not parties or politics or government ministries.
Well, even as the Minister of Labor last year, there's enough footage out there to show I marched with the unions, with every union. I worked the whole parade. I didn't march for the Progressive Liberal Party. The Progressive Liberal Party had their own group, which was actually at the rear of the parade.
Right.
So there was no intermingling of the political party with the unions. The unions took the front of the march, and the Progressive Liberal Party was at the rear. I remember taking photos with the opposition as well, who were also present on the march.
Right. I found it strange that they would label it as a political march, because every year the political parties, all the major political parties go out and support, and they've never questioned it. They've never asked. They never said, why are you marching with us?
They've taken photos with us.
They've taken photos. They like to hold hands together in solidarity.
Yeah.
So it was strange that why this year all of a sudden you believe it's becoming political. It's a bit, I don't know, it's just strange in that regard. And you know, you can't help but ask questions as to agendas when at the end of the day, what are you working toward? What are you working for? What are you looking for? You've always advocated, talk to the government. Mr. Ferguson has said it repeatedly, that you want a government that we can talk to, that you can dialogue with, that can hear you. And I wonder if people are getting that mixed up with a government who can hear you and try and dialogue with you, or a government who's a genie, who just grants the requests that you want. And if you don't feel you're getting those requests granted, then there's an issue.
Well, there's two perspectives I have. First of all, you come from a season when the government did not speak to you, did not acknowledge you.
You're talking about the previous administration?
The previous administration, but you were on that march. And now you have a government who you not only have access to the top, the Prime Minister, our Deputy Prime Minister, ministers, and your Minister of Labor, but now that you have open social dialogue and you are able to check off all of the matters that are being resolved, when a few years back you had to take the government to court to have matters resolved and they still were left unresolved, we would think that this is a better season for labor.
Right.
But I cannot read minds. All I can continue to do is to do the work. Additionally, when we talk about the seasons, you know, people want what they want. There are matters, and I say the season because it has to be rooted in some type of agenda, be that as it may. We are looking at matters that have been unresolved for a very long time. Some, and I think I've said this on this show, some matters are easily resolvable.
Right, right.
Some matters take a little more work, and some matters take reform. And some matters may not be resolved.
Right.
That's just the way it is. However, when we push back from the table, they will not be resolved. But as long as we continue to engage in good, strong social dialogue, we will get to a place of conciliation and amelioration. And that's what's going to happen. No intimidation tactics will get me to push back from the table, because it's not about the personalities, it's about the workers.
We're going to go to a break. When we come back, I want to continue our conversation and ask, are some of these difficult issues, what are some of the consequences of addressing these issues. For example, we understand some of them can have a price tag of millions of dollars and be owed to people who have even retired from the public service if they're approved or if they go through or if a decision is made. Let's talk about the consequences of that and other issues when we come right back. We're back after this with Minister of Labor. You're watching The Rundown. We're back after this.
Covering the news seems easy, but we put thought into what we're doing. The Bahamas Tonight Access Now, here to inform, educate, and entertain. A new type of newscast featuring social media trends, news from around the islands, interviews with the people you like in our communities, sports, weather, and fabulous entertainment. That's a Bahamas Tonight Access Now with Marlena Leonard and LaDon Davis. 7:30, Monday to Friday. Only the sun covers the Bahamas better.
We're here at the Nassau Village Community Center project, where over the past 17 months, we've hired over 20 Bahamian subcontractors to bring this beautiful project to fruition.
I've been living in Nassau Village for more than 19 years, and to see a project like this bring great joy and pride to me.
This state-of-the-art multi-purpose community center will serve as a crime-fighting initiative in the community. Also help with the education of our kids in this community and a hurricane shelter.
Yeah, and it also shows what we as Bahamians can achieve when we work hand in hand with each other.
We have the technical know-how, and we can pretty much deliver on any project here in the Bahamas or in the world.
Bahamas Stripe and the Bahamian Company, they prove that they believe in Bahamians.
Based on the outcome of this project, I don't think they're disappointed in giving a small person an opportunity to do a job such as this.
The more opportunity they get, the more opportunity we will get.
If you look around and see the work done so far, it just shows what we as Bahamians can do.
The new stuffed crust cheddar flavor has a taste you'll enjoy.
Outside and inside.
With a delicious stuffed crust covered in irresistible cheddar flavor. Come and try the new stuffed crust cheddar flavor only at Little Caesars.
Pizza, pizza.
Welcome back to The Rundown. My guest tonight is the Minister of Labor and Public Service, Honorable Pierre Global role in Labor Week. And as we prepare for Labor Day, Toronto folks celebrate Labor Day. We're talking, Toronto Fox Labor Day. We're talking about some of the issues faced in the labor movement that are being addressed or that need to be given some attention. And one of the things we talked about is the legacy issues, the outstanding issues, the ones that seem very hard to resolve. And the question is, what are the implications of resolving some of them? Because people think, why you can't just give them what they need? What's the problem? And a lot of these issues bear serious price tags.
Yeah.
Talk about that a second.
Before I talk about that, you said something that I must say. I feel the need to extend an invitation to the union presidents in particular who say all the time, well, just do this or just do that. There's policy.
Right.
Let's start there. There's process. The good news is we're working to fix policy and process because the laws that are, in some instances, over 30 years old aren't good enough to manage the new world that we are now working in. So those laws are antiquated. We need to fix the policy. I've said before where the policy has 12 steps, maybe it can be 2 steps because now we're in a digital age. So I invite any of the union presidents who want to spend a week with me so you can see how it works. The door is open. Come spend some time with me. Let's spend time together to work specifically on your issues and let you see how the process works.
There you go.
And maybe an open invitation to all of our union leaders. We can slot you in and you can come work with your minister so you can understand the process. I believe that understanding the process sometimes brings clarity. So to answer your question, legacy issues, sometimes it is fiscal. And fiscal has implications. We have budgets annually. So if you're asking me to pay somebody who is possibly owed for 30 years, 25 years, realistically, not only the government, there's hardly any company that is prepared to do so.
Exactly.
So you have to look at that. There's statute of limitations on certain things. But again, we are in an analog system in the public service that we're gratefully moving into the digital. So when you ask me to look into a matter for somebody that probably worked in the public service 40 years ago, I have to find, not me, we have to find their file. That's not as easy as it may sound. Files from 40 years ago, sometimes when you open them up,
they fall
apart.
Wow.
So there's so many nuances. If we would just sit and process some of the things that people say, oh, just do this. It's not so simple. If it were so simple, I assure you, ministers before me possibly would have had it done. But things are not as simple as they appear to be. I have to stand up, as I always do, for the employees of the Ministry of Labor and Public Service, because when persons think they are attacking the minister, the politician, they're attacking the staff, the technical officers that do the work. Clint, over the past week, I have gotten some disheartening messages from members of the unions, staff of the Ministry of Labor and Public Service, who say, how could he say, how could this union president or she say, we ain't do nothing for them? No, they want to say that I didn't, but I'm not the person that's doing the work. So when a person works overtime to help to resolve the matters of your union members, and then you want to be politically motivated to say, oh, they ain't doing nothing for us, it's not Pia Glover role that you're attacking. You're attacking your members of your unions, who are employees of the Ministry of Labor and Public Service. And the messages have been disheartening. How could they say we didn't when there were 100 and now there are 3? When we did 300 promotions, when they can qualify the work that they have done. It's disheartening. But I say to them, we're not doing it for them. We're doing it for the people. Let's keep going.
When we talk about labor in the country, and particularly the public service, which is the largest labor force, you've done so much when it comes to promotions. Yet, there seems to be like a long road still ahead with so many people. Every time you do somebody else will say, well, ain't nobody looking out for me, nobody checking for me. How are you managing this process of continuously being able to review? Because so much has not been done for such a long period of time.
So we've put a great dent in it. Probably right now with our public service wide, we're current. So once we do another exercise within the year,
you'll be current.
The fiscal year, we are current. But also, that's what we started out by saying. When we open the Pandora's box, we know that there are going to be people who are going to say, what about me? And those people have been stepping up, and we've been working it out for them. Additionally, not everybody that thinks they are due a promotion is due a promotion. If you know, as an employee, that you are absent 150 times in a year.
People are absent 150 times a year?
You're not...
Hold on, pause. People are absent 150 times a year?
Or more.
Or more?
Clint, let me get to the point. When you know that you have grievances on your file, or maybe you don't know, so that's why you seek to review your file. Everybody that says, I'm due a promotion, may not be, but at least give us the opportunity to review your file, create a profile for you, let you know, okay, if you could improve in your tardiness for the next 12 months, then you'll be eligible. And that's what's been happening. We've been able to have, which human resources does, coaching and counseling with employees to say, well, you're just missing the mark right here, but if you do this, we have upgrading courses in the Ministry of Labor and Public Service through our Prashard unit, which means as a member of the staff of the government, a public servant, you can learn while you earn. You can achieve your accreditations while you're working. So we have a BJC is available. BJC classes are available to public servants, BGCSE, and all other levels of accreditation that you can access.
No excuse, but I can't grade my skill.
So if you are a worker who's been working for 30 years and you say, well, Minister, I've never been promoted, but I look at your file and you've never been promoted because you've never upskilled, you've never done anything to move to the next level, then I can say to you, okay, this is what I think you need to do. If you are in a career path that takes you nowhere, maybe you need to now function in another or look towards another career path. But this gives us the opportunity, you know, it's not something to run away from. Yes, it's a lot of work, but it gives you the opportunity to guide employees on a career path so that they don't start at the bottom and leave where they started. We want to see public servants progress up the ladder within an organization, because that's what workers should do in their career. We don't want it to be a job, we want it to be a career, and a career speaks to upward mobility.
People are absent 150 days.
More than that, Clint. And there's only 365.
Unbelievable, unbelievable. So let's talk about the thousands of high schoolers that come out of school, right? Many of them look for jobs and so forth.
Yes.
How do we ensure, because the Prime Minister made a very bold statement recently when he said, listen, I need to make sure Bahamians are in work.
Oh, yes.
Bahamians are preferred over the foreigners. And we understand what he means by that. I have to create opportunities for Bahamians. But then people say, well, I can't get a job.
Right.
I can't find, we have people in public service who they ain't leaving. And so how do we modernize public service when we have all these great young minds that want to come into it, but there's no opportunity? How are we dealing with that?
I love that question, because this is an area of focus for us right now, especially as we go into our new fiscal year. And as I bring my budget communication in a few weeks, I'm not going to preempt it, Clint, because I know you come in.
Anxious just now.
I know you come in.
Yeah.
Some great things are coming. We are focused on employability.
Wow.
And let me say what employability is. We have no job shortage in the Bahamas, but it's difficult for some of our young people and some persons in the workforce to engage certain jobs because they don't have the skills set to match what the jobs are requiring. So it's not a job issue. We have lots of jobs. Employers around the country can tell you they're actively looking for employees, but when these persons apply, their skill set doesn't match the needs of the position. So we're working, and in fact, we just had, in partnership with the Bahamas Human Resource Association last week, an employability workshop, and we're going to be doing more of those because we want to encourage persons. You may already have a skill, but if you're not getting gainful employment with that skill set, let's redirect you. Let's send you on a pathway where there's a gap. We know where gaps are. We know that there are gaps in quantity surveyors, elevator technicians, HVAC operators. There's gaps even higher up on the totem pole. But the point is we use our data at labor to direct employability and skills training towards those gaps so that Bahamians are able to fill those gaps. Additionally, our focus is on ensuring that Bahamians access jobs. So if we see, in partnership with the Department of Immigration, okay, this particular position, there's a lot of foreigners coming in for this role. That means that we don't have enough Bahamians that are skilled in this role. Let's direct Bahamians toward that skill set. Pharmacy is one of them that I'm aware of. But another thing that's important is where there are non-Bahamians in roles, we're watching you. I said that earlier. We want to make sure in our Notice of Vacancy Policy Unit, we speak to mentorship, monitoring and evaluation to ensure that your understudies are able to assimilate into the roles, because ultimately we want Bahamians in the roles, especially at the top end of the totem pole when it comes to the workforce. So that is our focus within this year, this fiscal year. Employability, securing positions at all levels for Bahamians, and ensuring that Bahamians are protected so that where there are roles that they can attrition into, we allow them to. As for young people in the public service, I'll give you a little teaser. There is a National Public Service Scholars Program that has been developed and that we will be launching.
Wow.
That will speak to preparing young people to assume roles within the public service. Now, you know, I take things head on. There was the commentary about the retirees coming back. There are many dynamics with that. But I saw a lot of commentary about these are roles that young people could have been in.
Right.
No, because we can't just bring a young person in and place them in a role at the top of the totem pole.
Correct.
Because they need the institutional knowledge. With the lack of promotions in the public service, we have gaps at the top. So now we have succession plans being engaged in ministries where we're now filling those top positions with persons that are already in the system. And now we need to train persons to come into the system, but not necessarily at the lower end.
Right.
We know that we need some middle talent, some middle management talent. We have to train persons out of the private sector or persons coming out of school, our graduates, to understand the nuances of the public service. It's a special creature.
It is.
It has its own policies and regulations, and you can't just walk in and understand it. We have to teach you. So where there are gaps, and we do want to continue to attract young people into the public service, we've created a program that's coming soon.
That's exciting. You know, when was the last time we heard the Minister of Labor and Public Service say there's no shortage of jobs? Just people to be able to fill the roles, acquire special skills. Because that means there are jobs out there, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, waiting to be occupied, but the problem is there's nobody with the skill set.
Yes, absolutely. Our Public Employment Services unit at the Department of Labor,
there are vacancies.
We have lots of vacancies. Hundreds.
Hundreds of vacancies?
Yes, sir.
Waiting to be filled?
Yes.
Folks, that's unheard of in our country in a long time.
Our unemployment is at its lowest since 2008.
Wow.
We don't have a job issue. We have a skill set and an employability issue, and we're going to fix that.
You heard that? That's the soundbite of the day. We don't have a job issue. We have a skill set issue, and you're going to fix it.
Yes.
Let's go to a break. Jobs out there. Y'all, I hope y'all at your computer right now updating your resume. Or better yet, go sign up for a course first. All right? We're back after this.
Let's go. At Frame Studio, as soon as you enter the door, we showcase any individual that comes in there and make it feel like they are at home. The space itself is 1,800 square foot. Our psych wall, which is industry standard also, is 24 feet wide. You can do anything that you can possibly think of. At Frame Studio, under our theme, Now Create More, we look at Frame Studio as a canvas. And any artist knows a canvas is blank, and then you create whatever you want to do, right? So we have where you could rent tools. We even have workstations that people could rent out to anyone inspiring to do what I've done, or what my colleagues have done, or any other journey. I would say to you, don't be afraid. The worst someone can actually tell you is no. So if you have a vision, you have an idea, not everyone will get it. But if you believe in your vision, you believe in your idea, I say go wholeheartedly at it.
For more information about the Creative Entrepreneurs Initiative and the Crafting the Bahamas workshops, email info@sbdcbahamas.com or call us at 461-7232.
Welcome to What's Trending. Join me, Jiminita Swain.
And me, The Bahama Beauty, Monday through Thursday at 6 p.m.
Only on the ZNS Network.
Covering the news seems easy, but we put thought into what we're doing. The Bahamas Tonight Access Now, here to inform, educate, and entertain. A new type of newscast featuring social media trends, news from around the islands, interviews with the people you like in our communities, sports, weather, and fabulous entertainment. That's a Bahamas Tonight Access Now with Marlena Leonard and LaDon Davis. 7:30, Monday to Friday. Only the sun covers the Bahamas better.
The internet isn't just for surfing. There's a sea of shoppers buying online, and you can connect with them on Tingsy. Tingsy is the SBDC's online storefront built for Bahamians. Take your business to the next level by selling to customers online, both at home and around the world. People want Bahamian things, and if you got things to sell, sell on Tingsy. Find out how you can connect with a sea of buyers by visiting tingsybahamas.com.
Welcome back. We're in our final segment talking to the Minister of Labor and Public Service, Pia Global Role, and some other housekeeping matters we want to take care of in this segment. There's a proposed IL visit. Some persons, a group of persons, the trip representing the Bahamas, they're leaving this Saturday. What is the purpose of that?
So we go to our annual, it's the 113th ILC convention, International Labor Conference. It's a huge event for labor. Some of our stakeholders are already in Geneva because it's a 2-week event. I'll be leaving the day after Labor Day because, of course, I want to stay here and be with the workers for Labor Day, as usual, March, and then we head off to Geneva. But it's a great opportunity for us to showcase what the Bahamas is doing. The Bahamas is getting a lot of applause on the international labor front because of our exceptional social dialogue. This same thing that we're taking for granted is being celebrated by the world because many countries don't have the opportunity to have dialogue between unions, the government, and the employers. In fact, in some countries it gets violent, but we are fortunate, we are blessed to be able to have a tripartite relationship, and that is why I say the doors are always open. I'm not going to get in a public spat with our unions. We are all for the same cause, and that is for our workers.
People look at you, and a lot of people are impressed by your whole deportment and the way you do what you do. And so I think this is a good segment before we close to give people a closer eye on Pia Global role. And of course, you recently celebrated your wedding anniversary.
Yes.
Happy anniversry.
Thank you.
So the question is, how do you balance it, right? Because here is a woman who's running major ministries. You're a mother of beautiful daughters, and then you have a husband. How do you do it all?
Don't forget my pops, okay?
And the pops. Okay.
And 2 pops.
Lord,
yes.
have mercy.
So yes, I have been married for 25 years.
25 years?
Yes.
Wow, congratulations.
I'm only 30, but 25 years. And, you know, having a good support, a good network of support is important, that village. The village is my husband, even my children, my mother, my sister, my family, my extended family, and good friends. When you are able to focus on what it is that you're doing, whether it's your career or your business, because of course this is not new for me. I have been a successful owner of an entrepreneur since 1999.
Wow.
And I've been able to manage multiple businesses and work and do all of the philanthropic and civic duties that I did because I had a great village. Of course, God is at the top, the family, and then those who support us. So without that, I couldn't do it. And I must say, I definitely got a lot of my ability to perform in a political role through pageantry. And many people like to think that pageantry has its negative connotations, but it's absolutely positive if you're going to serve in public life. First of all, you understand deportment. You're able to speak to the issues, local and international, because you're taught to always be ready, be well-read, have an opinion, be able to respond. You have the ability to temper emotion. And of course you have the ability to understand how to network, how to work with people. So I think that my pageantry journey has also been very beneficial in helping me understand the work-life balance, and so I'm grateful.
None of this would be possible unless you were able to convince the people of Golden Gates that you were the best person for the job. How has that run been in Golden Gates over this past term?
You see, I'm smiling. I love Golden Gates. Golden Gates knows that the MP loves them. I'm always thinking about ways that I can tangibly show them that I love them, and not only the children, not only the seniors, but everyone in between. The males, the females, everyone. So that continues. I'm always in Golden Gates. There's always something. Every month we have an event or two.
So you and just start this now because this campaign season?
No. And thank you for social media. Everybody can look and see that this has been something that we've been doing since day one, and we're about to take it to the next level. I've been spending even more time in the constituency because in order to be the minister, I first have to become the member of parliament. And there's so much work to be done. We're doing great things in Golden Gates, and I want the opportunity to continue to do great things for the people of Golden Gates. And I don't think we're quite done yet, and our relationship is blossoming, and I look forward to continuing to serve the most amazing constituents in the Bahamas, which is the constituents of Golden Gates.
Do you think they'll give you another chance? How do they feel about you?
Well, they say they will. but I'm going to keep working every day until election day, because sometimes people only remember you for what you did yesterday.
Right.
I want to make sure that I'm always fresh and constant in their minds, that I'm also always responsive to their needs and the needs of the community, and that we are being empowered, educated, and in opening new enterprises and Golden Gates together.
No government gets it all right. There are challenges, there are failures, there are, okay, we should have done this differently, we didn't do this, and so forth. Why do you believe the Bahamian people should consider the Free National Movement, the Progressive Liberal Party in the upcoming general election?
Well, no human gets it all right. There's no such thing as perfection, but there is progress. And if you can mark where progress has been made, remember I always talk about being able to check off the boxes, being able to look at the data, the facts, and qualifying them. Progress is something that you have to be able to see and feel. I believe that the Progressive Liberal Party has made excellent progress. Of course, as our leader, the Prime Minister says, always, there's more work to be done. There will always be work to be done. But I believe that we have built steadily, we recovered and restored our economic position. We are able to incrementally improve conditions for Bahamians, considering the global cost of living and the hyperinflation that is not only being experienced in the Bahamas. We've been able to manage. We've been able to effectively recover revenue that was owed and manage in terms of our spending. And that is what has gotten us to this proposed and forecasted budget that will have a surplus. It takes strategic planning. The Progressive Liberal Party has progressed. The country, the people are saying it. There will always be the naysayers, but the majority that I've come in contact with say that they feel, they see the difference, and they see the hard work that we're doing.
Okay, so we have about 90 seconds left. I'm going to give you a test, and I'm going to be giving all MPs and ministers to come on my show. You're the first one.
Oh,
so you have to give me a quick answer for each question.
Okay.
You've been in public life. One thing that you count as a success that you've done?
Labor unions.
One regret?
None.
No regrets?
No.
One thing that you weren't prepared for in public life?
The scrutiny.
One thing you would change?
I would change the bureaucracy when it comes to handling matters for public servants.
And I give you the final comment tonight to the people of the Bahamas, which is what?
Final comment is to ensure that you mark your government by the successes. We are about to present a budget that speaks to opportunity. Opportunity island by island, not from a Nassau-centric approach. As you listen, as you pay attention to the upcoming budget, please ensure that you allow it to relate to what is personal to you. Be a global role, you're by far one of the shining stars. Thank you for being on the show tonight. We appreciate it. Always a pleasure. And we'll see you marching on the Labor Day parade, eh? Come with me. Thank you so much. That does it for the rundown. Be sure to stay locked on the ZNS Network for the Bahamas tonight at 11. It's the final newscast of the country with the latest news and information with Royston Jones. He's right over there putting on his tie. For all of us here at ZNS, I'm Clint Watson. Thanks so much for joining us. Good night, everyone.
Montague, I'm Opal Roach. This is ZNS.